can share what they feel and what their issues could be. Thank you very much, Madam Ratan. I would now like to go to Idris Abdulwasa. Idris, I will introduce you later, but share with us from Somalia the work you're doing with the young people to harness their energy positively. I know most of us followed what happened in Kenya, the Gen Z protests. A lot of energy in Somalia. What are you doing to harness the energy of young people for positive development, both in the community and in the country, that could be helpful for Africa's development?
Thank you, everyone. My name is Abdulwasa Idris Jelle. I'm from Somalia. I also member of URA CC in Somalia. Also, I'm the chairman of the Somali Youth Civic Organization. Today, I'm very happy to stay here and also to talk the challenges that facing in Somali children and also the education sector of Somalia and also the youth. As we know, Somali education sector for children and youth presents a complex situation in currently and now. And as we know, there is a civil war which was continuing for a long time, and now we are recovering. So the youth and also children and also the education sector still they are recovering. But if we are starting now talking for the education sector, you know, our curriculum first when our country happened in civil war, whole system of the education was became nothing. So now is the recovering, and first the Somali government here has started to set up a new curriculum, and that curriculum also written in Somali language. Before we were learning in English and both and Arabic, but now we changed and also we started. The Minister of the Education started to revise also to put in a new syllabus for the Somali education sector, and still there is some gaps in a rural area, and also in another side some areas of Somalia has also still remain for Al-Shabaab. So that is not still rigid our curriculum and also our system of the system of the government. But all of the system still is recovering. It's not fit in the country, and also it's not good development. That's another side. Somali youth are also facing many challenges, such as they don't have any job, and most of them they join Al-Shabaab, and also part of them they live in the country as a smuggling. So all that problems goes with the government. But now we have a government, but the government is a fragile, it's not strong, and also the government is not able to rule all the country. You see that there's some many regions of Somalia still rule it, also still staying in Al-Shabaab. For that become obstacles to give youth how we can call it, and awareness and not to join Al-Shabaab, and also not to go out of the country in order to stay in their countries and also to rebuild their lives and also their future. Still we are still in the situation or the stage of recovering what had happened already in our country, why our central government was collapsed already in 1991. On the other side, the children also has part of the what had happened in the country, and also children they don't have any good rights. Part of them they join and they are Al-Shabaab. Part of them they are neglected and also staying in the streets. So they have many problems existed there. But now we are hoping that they will change their situation and will be good, inshallah.
And practically practically, based on the work you're doing with the youth, how are you doing it? Do you just do civic education, or what do you tell them? How do you work with them?
We work, and we have some sessions in some regions like cities. We give them awareness. Also, we can call it. We talk to we give them how they can participate. Peacefully in our country. While we have seen the civil war, how our country had made already. We encourage them to participate and to work with the government in order to return peace and prosperity to Somalia, and also to participate and to be part of the solution to Somalia, not to join al-Shabaab, also to rebuild our country. So we give them awareness and also how they can work with their country and not to go outside of the country. You see, many young Somalis, they live in the country and they died in the Mediterranean Sea. So we encourage them to stay and also participate peace building and also nation building in the country.
Thank you very much, Idris. That element of encouraging them to be part of the regional legislation and legislative processes, I think that would really be encouraging to young people, that they will not need to go outside the country. Thank you for sharing that experience with us. Idris is the founder of the Somalia Youth Civic Organization. Thank you very much, Idris. Moving on, I want to rush through this. They share their experience with us, and then we come to everyone in the room because we want it to be a conversation. Allow me to welcome Mr. Maleku Hailu to share with us from the Ethiopia's perspective the work that is being done with young people around harnessing their energy. Most welcome.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, fathers and mothers, brothers and sisters. This is Malaku from Model Africa Union. I'm currently a founder and executive director, which is a non-profitable based on Ethiopia, but Pan-African perspective youth-based organization. What we do is the young people to know more about the Africa Union Agenda 2063 and SCDGs. So this initiative is mainly working on the age of 14 to 35, but as the Africa Union, as my brother earlier mentioned to the moderator, as Africa is the 60% of the population. So it means that 70%, but 60% are under the age of 24. So it means that we have a lot of adolescents, it means. So we categorize the adolescents as well as the young. So I may be to go out to the age of the youth, because if it is in the current wise of the European Union, I might to be a part of it, but African Union is its own regions, but so I'm a part of it. So what makes, I'm going to back what I been like here. So it was the time that I went like to know the global agenda. So I was in an high school and I was working in different civil society organizations. So those time that comes bring me to be a part of it and founding this Model Africa Union. So I was in a first time that I took before we founded the Model Africa Union as an organization of civil society. I was in the AU many times to go. As a building is beautiful and a lot of people to take a golden photos and stuff. So it was a time that I've been like shocked and it was beautiful, but so I see a lot of people, head of states and ministers stuff, and then it was beautiful to see photo stuff. So a lot of people talks about Agenda 2063 and Agenda 2063 when everyone is mentioned as Agenda 2063. So at the time that I was there in 2015 or 16 around, but I just came up on ideas and I participated many times in there to the AU meetings. So I try to read the Agenda 2063 aspirations and also the Agenda 2063, the first plan of a year. So over the time, there's like 2013 to 24 as a time to be a first phase of the Africa Union Agenda 2063 as just like still like awareness creation. But when we come to here, in the second phase, so it's a part to be like as a youth to be a part of it to be, because yesterday there is someone, I think he's the one who's a moderator, asking some of panelists around there. So you will be in 2063, whom I will be. So I think it's a better the question that you ask, how we can contribute at the time of where we are. So until we die or until we pass this world. So I think we are not to achieve, it's not to be achieved, the Agenda 2063, what we go. So it's everyone, it's contributed its own ways of giving to the continent. So that is the platform that I to be founding the AU model so that the young people to know more about. It says in Aspiration 6, which is the women and the youth who is implementing the Agenda 2063. It means that the women's already have and birds that produce a lot of, fertility. So the youth also have energy for the development. So when I came to here, you see this, these are the teens when they are not university actually, they are high school students, but we have a club from different universities and also high schools, but still we domesticate the young people to have a better understanding on the Agenda 2060. So when you see here, in PowerPoint, so we empower the young people on diplomacy and advocacy. So before I mention to about our organizations and what we do, I acknowledge to the Indian diplomacy, the Indian government to host to the G20. So G20 is advocated by one of the members of the G20 is India on the 2023. So India is the one who's pushing the member of state of the G20 so that the AU to be one of the member of 2024 that time. So we appreciate the Indian government actually. So last year, this year I just going to we have an activity called Ambassador of a Day, which means that the young people to play an ambassador of that country. So I play the ambassador of European Union delegation to EU, or some of my colleagues, I give an opportunity to the young people to play the countries of ambassadors. It means that those young people, they have already energies and they can have their presence. They may not Indians, they may not Europeans, so they may not Africans, so they can present one country as a diplomacy. So that is the way when I go to the Indian embassy, ambassador told me, I given to him like a card, and he called me after 1 hour, and he called me. I didn't notice that he was ambassador, but he told me that he takes to me, and his secretary or his secretary, she's not the one who takes to me. And he called me, I need you, I need to talk to you guys, what he said. And I called my teams, one of two, and we discussed with him. But he told to me like, we're the one who's pushing the AU to be a member of advocacy. So why we not to make a simulation of the member of state of the G20, so how the Indian can play as a role of the AU member state, and also the African Union, how they can sell their agendas toward to the G20. So we did that on the team of the year. On the team of the G20. So it was a good platform so the young people to have it. So just go to, I already mentioned those things. So we mainly focusing on the Agenda 2063 advocacy and the SDGs and integration the Africa. So we are not only based on Ethiopia, but we collaboratively working with many of the African Union member of state, that means, or the AU Commission, which is mainly we work on the AU Women Gender Use Directorate. So we closely, because I'm not working, or my organization is working to ourselves. It's working the AU agenda. So it means that they need, they are the one who they should assist us, like not others organization, because we are doing for them. It's the job of the AU, the AU Commission that we do. So that's why we're trying. So I just want to ask some of here the participants here around. So I don't know. I was just to ask some of here, anyone who's working education, health. Anyone? Raise your hand, please. Education, entrepreneurship, unemployment. What I was to try to tell you that our African Union Commission already has Musa Faki when he was in 2080. At the time, it's called 1 million by 2021, which is called Education, Engagement, Entrepreneurship, and Well-being. At the time when they launched the 1 million to 1 million by 2021, so it's called to reach 1 million youth through these 4 E's. But after they occupied this one, they reach in 2022, we launch, or the AU launch 1 million by 1 million by next level. It means like the 4E plus H. So H means well-being and health. So I think this 1 million by next level, as a member of the state, they will sign, or anyone who's want to work with the 4E's plus H. So most of the phase organization I saw yesterday, someone were speaking from Panari, as like 9% we do on health. So it means that as you contributing, so how you like align those initiatives, the African Union initiative, which is 1 million next level. So it means that the more you contribute, the more you know the agenda, the more you contributed, and the more also we amplify our continent agenda as well. So in a place. So when we come to how many people knows the team of the year. So most of the people know, they think that the team of the year is just for a year. I think 2020 was Silence the Gun. So it means like I was on at the time of the Silence the Gun, but at the time of also our country also at the starting our to the northern part. So it means that it doesn't mean like it will be staying silencing the gun. So when we say silence the gun, it does mean like blocking to the guns. So we have a lot of things to silence in education, in education, health, in all inclusive ways. So that's why we engage as a youth, inclusive engagement and meaningful youth engagement. So it's already passed, yeah. Yeah, so in related, sorry? Okay, so I just wanted to say one thing. So when we give into a youth and a diplomacy and education, whatever, we are creating like we are volunteer, including myself so far. So it means that it doesn't mean that he can't speak, or it doesn't mean that he don't know more agendas of the continent or the globes. So what I'm saying is like we are preparing those secretary, director, and other things. We are preparing for a job, what we call job preparedness. So some of the youth who already have in our teams, they are in different parts of the AU member of states organizations. So it means that we are, giving to them opportunities, and so that the more they know their continent and the topics that they want and the vision, so they will have a good productive use, so, and children as well. Thank you very much.
Yes. Thank you very much, Maliko. He is the founder of the Model African Union. A quick question. How many of us have entered the African Union building? Ambassador Hailu, don't raise your hand. Okay. Now, so if among the adults, only very few of us have entered that place, so imagine the young people. They shout and talk about the African Union Agenda 2063, but they have never even entered there to see how comfortable the leaders become in that space, that some processes don't even happen. So thank you very much for trying to enact a process that they can be part of this conversation. Thank you. I will now move to Humphrey Masheria. Humphrey is my colleague, yes, from Arigatou International. Humphrey, let's go back again to children. We started with the conversation around children, the role of family, and then there was that question yesterday of children in the room, children being on the table, not on the menu. But how do we ensure the meaningful participation of children? That it is not tokenism or any of those. How do we ensure the meaningful participation of children? And how does Arigatou do it?
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Good morning, everyone. As he has mentioned, my name is Humphrey. I'm the Global Network of Regions for Children Coordinator and the umbrella of Arigatou. And just before I answer to his question, let me just give a preamble for GNRC is. So GNRC is a network comprised of faith leaders, policymakers, grassroots actors, children and youth. And basically what it does is it's a platform that brings all those actors together to identify some of the challenges faced by children and co-create sustainable solutions. And these discussions comes at a very timely and critical time when we are seeking to advance the goals contained in the SDGs and the EU Agenda 2063. And too often, children and young people are seen as passive recipients of programs and recommendations, but they are rather active. They are agents of, they can make positive change when given the space, trust, and they can bring fresh perspectives. I mean, we're here talking about the Agenda 2063, but we don't have children present to give their perspective on what they want to see happen by the time you're achieving this strategy. But for us, meaningful child participation is not just like inviting them to events. That's more of mechanism, right? It's just inviting them for them to be heard, involved in the decision making, and empowered to lead. And for us to do that, it requires creating safe spaces and listening with intention, not just listening to them for what they're saying, but listening with intentions and trusting them when they grow, they become better leaders. As a networking organization, we're deeply committed to ensuring that children are just not spoken for, but they are included meaningfully. And just to give you some classic examples of where we have created some platform for them to be involved. Just last year, we convened the GRC6 Forum, which normally happens every 5 years. And we were very deliberate to bring children to the table. And so we had some free spaces, we had some intergenerational panel discussions, where they were able to give their solutions to the challenges they are facing, because we're talking about how to create a safe, secure, and sustainable world. So they were able to give their opinions on what they think a safe world should be, a secure world should be, and how to achieve the SDGs. And the other platform that we have given children is in our networks. As I mentioned, there's a network comprised of different people from different countries, currently in 8 countries. And in each country, they have a committee. And each committee has a child representative and a youth representative, just to ensure that their voices are shaping the activities of that specific country. I mean, for example, for Africa, if my numbers sound me right, the youth are the majority. And not just in Africa, I mean, the whole world, they are 70% or more. But now, for involved children, but I like giving one classic example of an ongoing program in Kenya, Mombasa. It's called Building Family Resilience, Women of Faith in Action. So what it does, its objective is to empower women, teachers, female teachers, and female faith leaders, with skills and tools to strengthen family systems and protect children from the rivers of radicalization, violent extremism, and other social harms rooted in broken family structures. Initially, the program was meant to address those objectives, but within the course of implementation, because we were working with teachers, they were giving testimonials of what children are going through in schools. So there's one example that was given by a teacher where a child was, like from family, they are family dynamics, so it happens, like, most cases happens, right? So one teacher was saying this child was experiencing, or came from a broken family, where the father and mother were not living together. And so the child was saying he's exposed. Whenever he goes to the father sends her back to the mother. And it happened the same, like she's flipped in between the two parents. And we sat down and thought, this child is very exposed. If she can be approached by another, I mean, what are the chances? She can easily be like radicalized. Because there's also that issue of family, broken family structures. So we are able to empower these women, and what is happening, they are getting this ripple effect, because it's very cost effective. I mean, these are teachers and faith leaders. If you give them skills and tools of how they can be able to address these challenges, it creates some ripple effect. And one example of a woman who I respect very much, she's called Mama Shamsa Abu Bakr. She won the 2023 Zayed Award for Human Fraternity, for her outstanding work, and she is one of the participants in that program, and she has really encouraged other women to take part in this table and to make impactful changes in the lives of children. I can give so many examples of programs where you involve children, but just to mention a couple,
that's the best classic example I'm giving. And as a follow-up to that, I have a couple of recommendations to the organizers and faith leaders. And the first one, of course, giving this recommendation to the young person, I think faith leaders should create opportunities within their congregation and institutions for children to voice their views, lead initiatives, and coordinate solutions on issues affecting them. The faith leaders should embed child protection principles in their sermons. Of course, I understand, I'm a Christian, so I understand one of the objectives is to give us ways of how we can get to heaven, but if they can just incorporate some of those teachings and how to protect children, I feel we can impact the community positively. The other one is to promote faith-based family programs and parenting initiatives that nurture children's physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual well-being. And let's also ensure that our temples, most churches and interfaith spaces become places where young people are not just seen and heard, but they are truly valued and empowered. And lastly, as I mentioned when I was starting, let's bring children to the table whenever you're talking about challenges that are facing them. Let's invite them for panel discussions, even if it's giving them a space to break sessions. I mean, that's the only way we can be able to address and know exactly what we are going through, and that's the only direction to achieve the EU Agenda 2063. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Humphrey. I like that idea of let children be seen, heard, and engaged, whether it's in our religious spaces, in our program, and I know Reverend Victor will be emphasizing this. Since our journey from Nairobi up to like a few minutes ago, he kept reminding me that, we were in Uganda with children. In that room, there were 5 children recognized by the president. They met with, I think, 3 presidents. 2 sitting presidents, 1 former president, and then the former prime minister of Ethiopia. They were recognized, but the children's issue, the children had no answer. So finally, we'll go to also Humphrey, like you mentioned, works with the Global Network of Religions for Children. Now, we will try to sum up this conversation with Professor Jafar. During COVID, we realized that, or we used to think that the home was one of the safest places for children until COVID happened. And then we realized that school actually was the safest for most children, that the home was no longer. So, tell us, what could be some of the practical ways that the education system, the school, can be used to really support children, youth, women in achieving this?
I answer right now, and is it counted in my time, this question? Don't
feel free to answer it right now, or share your experience with us. Your friends.
So, you know that knowledge. With my name, this is Mahmoud Jafari from Morocco, University Sultan Moulay Slimane, Linlan and Qadiyya, Marrakesh. So we know that knowledge is the real power. And this power is mastered through education. You cannot have knowledge without education. It means cultivating the mind, cultivating the soul, cultivating your behavior to have this power and this knowledge through experience. However, but this power it is, we cannot achieve it without youth. Without youth, it is in the hand of it, and that is, of course, we are all educators. So what I'm going to tell you now is a story of a project. It began thinking about how shall I convince my fellow adults that I'm going to meet here in the conference to engage in this project and support it. So I chose the title, Golden Rule, and we are all in higher education. How can we integrate the Golden Rule in higher education? For what purpose? To foster interfaith culture. And of course, this is, I will say, of Ambassador Musi Haile. So to convince my fellow adults, I summoned all my knowledge and thought of the theories and also read books and prepared the theoretical framework. Then here submitted the reasons behind choosing such philosophy behind Golden Rule, and how to integrate it and why to integrate it in universities. My story goes quicker, and I stop here just to show. I thought also of strategic components. Where shall we start? Or just to talk about Golden Rule to students in the amphitheater, and that's it. We should go into planning. So there are components monthly. Also there is thematic design. There should be facilitators, okay, in this project, and also there should be global digital platform where the students log in and talk and exchange peacefully and also in a way that is safe, okay? And then meet in one of the interfaith conferences, physical meeting after exchanging ideas. I choose also the platforms that I work with now, international conference, international organizations. For example, here, Stevens Initiative. Okay? We can have the support of these. There is also Soria, and they have a platform. And there is iEarn, where they can give you your own room. As a facilitator, you may have other facilitators. You may have also a board of the students and exchange and choose the theme. For example, the Golden Rule Day. Now, these are the themes that can be discussed on these platforms. Okay, so it needs hard work, and it is not the work of one person, of one supervisor or coordinator. You should be engaged, we, all of us. And of course, what we should be here doing is that we should make a board and then create a board and then start planning. Expected outcome, so I thought of everything so that to convince you. And that is the legacy that we should leave behind. And this is just a summary that we will share with other students, and that can be also used as in pamphlets. That was my project. Till yesterday it was a project. When I met these students and I talked to them about this project, in 2 minutes it became a reality. How? They create a WhatsApp group and they call it the Golden Rule Day Inter-African Communities. This is the Golden Day website. website as a start. So it became a reality. In the evening, in the evening, we shared the link with Moroccan students. And look here, it's about 9 p.m. and it was 11. And the Moroccan students started asking questions about the Golden Rule Day. What is it? And there were discussions at midnight. Already it's become reality. Of course, there is it? Okay, so, yeah. So there was a student who wants to express himself. I will leave him let him talk, but just the voice, okay? Someone, yeah. Yes, that's it. Okay, Sius, would you like please? So we cannot use the video, but I invite you to express your feelings. So, what is your attitude, or what was your attitude yesterday when you heard about the project and you engaged in the project? I don't think. Yes, it doesn't work. Yes. It doesn't work. So we should. Okay. Try to speak serious. Okay, go on. We can. Yes, please. Yes.
First of all, I'm very delighted to participate in this conference. Let me introduce myself. I am a student of English department.
Can't hear anything. Yeah, I'm here.
Islam says read, Christianity care to shape or to create reality. And now let's move from religion to politics, and let me conclude
So,
my speech with this political example. My example
Yes.
is a comparison
Yes.
between the American president
Yes.
J. Trump.
I think you're mute.
Yes.
Mute. I think you're mute.
Use. Okay, use. So thank you, Use. So we ran short of time, and thank you for your engagement. I know that you can talk. So this is second year. I mean semester two student. Okay, who has contributed to this project. So we go to the slide. Okay, thank you, Sius.
Prof, you can take 30 seconds to conclude.
Yes.
Please.
So, okay, the number of students who contributed now goes over 100. Okay, students, and there is somebody, okay, from Ethiopia who is explaining what is the golden rule, because there was questions. There are other questions that went. So went on from other students, but it was late here in Ethiopia. So the story, but it is just the end of episode. Okay, and the invitation is for esteemed members to stay not only tuned but engaged. So what is the next step in this project? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor Jafari. And I think one of the things that we can pick from this is engaging the youth, children, and any other constituents starts now. Means it's a project he was thinking of, he conceived, and when he got the opportunity, he started the process here. Means we can start now. So thank you very much. And two things. You will notice that we had only one female in the panel. Apologies for that. It was designed for us to have 3 women in the panel. Unfortunately, 2 of them could not join us. Yasmin and Nyasha could not join us. So, but we thank Madam Ratan for representing the voice of the women in the panel. We started our conversation about 30 minutes into the time. And if it is okay with us, we can take the next 20 minutes to have inputs, to have questions, to have experience sharing before we go for lunch. Is that accepted? Yes. Thank you very much. So now I will pass the mic to the floor. The floor is open for your input, for your conversation, for your question, and any experience you would like to share. Yes, can I have someone pass the mic around, please? Is that mic working well? Yeah. Yes, please.
Good morning to all of you. For those of you who have not yet met me, my name is Disruptive Singh Gurial. I'm the chairman of the Sikh Council of Africa, and we've come together with Sister Ratan from Nairobi, Kenya. So I just want to add on to what Sister Ratan said from a Sikh perspective and our experience of youth empowerment. Just for your information, the Sikh Council of Africa's executive committee has more than 50% of the composition is made up by women and youth. It is one of our core objectives to have women and youth empowerment in Africa. Now, youth empowerment, I think, starts when we are looking at it as faith leaders. We can only initiate that at our places of worship and in the organizations that we are running. So what we do in our temples and within our organizations is that we give the responsibility to the youth at a very early age. So we all run religious schools, whether it's in the mosque or the church, and if you're not running them within your institutions, I think it is very important that you have some sort of social and religious program over the weekends for the youth. These children, like most of our gurdwaras, have Saturday schools, and we are launching a program throughout Africa now to promote more youth involvement in running the temple programs. So they actually have a teaching system from the faith experts, and then we give a chance to the youth to actually run the programs. They present the papers and they will run the conferences. And that is a way of starting to empower. And that way we have found that there was a time when the youth were not willing to come to Gurdwara, and they felt it was only, they couldn't understand what was going on. And now it's changing around, they're pushing their parents to come there. So once the youth is involved, then going on to the next point, which Sister Ratan said, that it has to be a value-based education, which we have to give them. So our objective is to harness spiritual and secular values. The secular values, like the professor from Morocco is specializing on, is given by the education system, and the spiritual value comes from within the faith. So we have to bring both of them in tandem to make things move. And these, in the Sikh faith, the spiritual values which we talk about, the 5 basic ones are truth, contentment, compassion, righteousness, forgiveness, and love. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And yes, I think we have a hand behind Reverend Nikta there, the one in red, then we'll come to Reverend Nikta. And if we can all take 1 minute so that at least we can take 15 more inputs before we leave. Just 1 minute, please.
Okay, thank you very much. My name is Jeremias McCondon. Just a quick question. If we're teach kids ethics, different countries has different rules. Like, I used to live in a state for over 20 years. To teach them ethics, you cannot touch them, just talk to them, that would be against the law. In some countries, pinching, yelling, all that stuff is like a rule. You know, the Indians, the Chinese, when they're in a state, they were had a big problem with the police. We want to raise our kids whatever we want. And I don't know which one you give us advice. That's my quick question.
Okay, thank you very much for your question. Yes, we take Reverend Nikta, then we'll come to His Grace, then we come to you. Reverend Nikta is just in front of. Yeah, I see Imam. That's Imam Ashafa at the back there. Okay, we'll also take.
Thank you so much. I think yesterday one of the sessions we were talking about who is left behind. I will not take long. One of the things is for us to work with the data. It's very, very key as it frames the communities. The whole issue for knowing who is where. Like the population of Africa, over 40% are below the age of 40. And that calls for priorities. Thank you for bringing the whole area of education, of participation, of family, of higher education, diplomacy, all this is pulling together. And the population of over 1.5 billion people, 19, I can say 50% are below the age of 19. So the question as we talk, where are our priorities as Africa? We have over 750 million people below the age of 19. Where is our investment in education, in food, in healthcare, in constructive recreation for young people? We really talk about recreation for young people, and that's why they end up in destructive entertainment, drugs, alcohol, and other things. So thank you for all of you. You brought it up, and for Somalia, the civic engagement, because that curtails young people from violence. Thank you. But the whole issue of data, and putting a face on data, not simply numbers.
Thank you very much. We'll go to His Grace. I would like to hear from the women in the room. Actually, they are countable. They're like less than 6. So I would like to hear from them also.
Okay. My name is Salika Das. I'm a Global Trustee of the URI Multi-Religious Initiative. I'm representing the National Society for Krishna Consciousness Movement, popularly known as the Hare Krishna. I'm happy to be part of this. Actually, when I was coming to this event, I took it as a priority, this particular session. Why? Because for over 2.5 decades, I've worked with children and students at the higher institutions. And I've observed how a child comes into the university system as an innocent child, and at the end of 4 or 5 years, it becomes a guilt child. I've practically experienced this. In the last 10 years, I decided, after about 10, 15 years in the university experience of teaching, I decided in 2015 to take a research on about 10 students and look at how they came in. I asked them several questions when they came in and when they were graduating, and that is the foundation for this assertion I'm making. Our world today is a reflection of the kind of education that is permeating the world, whether we want to accept it or not. It is natural in the 70s, 80s to see Europeans, Americans coming to Africa for education, for integration of education. But now our youths in Africa especially believe that unless they get a UK, a US master's degree or PhD degree, they are nowhere in education. And when we look at the reflections of what happens across youth, women, in relations to education, we can see that the kind of education that we are giving is a major challenge. So therefore, my advocacy here is that Africa as a continent needs to go back to look at what is the foundation of our origin in terms of education. Today, education has become a paper qualification. But for Africans, paper qualification is not education. It is just a skills for advancing the course of other things. But real education is ethics education. Education based on morality. This is the foundation of Africa. So therefore, my advocacy here is that in advocating for the protection of women, because whatever we are seeing today is the product of the women, and the kind of children women are bringing about is as a result of the culture of education that we are giving to our mothers. So therefore, my advocacy is that let us go back to the basis. And I could go more, I know you, time is not on my side. Thank you.
Yes, okay. Thank you very much. Great. Again, the issue of ethics coming up. So we will take your question and then we go to Imam Ashafa. Here in front, please. Then we go to Imam Ashafa, and then we have, yes, I'll try to remember your name before the question comes to you.
Okay, thank you so much. My name is Ejeh. I'm from the Baha'i International Community focused on the Arab region, based in Cairo. Of course, half of the Arab region is here in Africa, so I'm here to learn with everybody here about this important concern. I think one of the questions we need to ask ourselves, and I will ask all the panel, is values education to what purpose? Right? We keep talking about values education. We heard about the great examples in different parts, different temples, mosques, churches, etc. But we really need to ask ourselves, for what purpose? One of the things that perhaps we could explore, and we're learning about this in the Baha'i community throughout the world, is that values education should actually lead to unity, to building unified communities, to building vibrant communities, to releasing the society-building powers that exist, that is latent in every society, so that society can witness both spiritual, material, intellectual, and social advancement, which all of it underlies unity. So I think when we think about this broader conception of unity and the purpose of education, we can realize this. I spoke yesterday about the program we're implementing for the Sudanese community in Egypt. Some of you have heard that, but we have something similar happening in more than 44 countries in Africa itself, where at the local level, we're looking at communities as generators of knowledge, not just recipients of knowledge, but they're also generators of knowledge, where youth can engage their junior youth in a process of continuous learning, of intergenerational learning, of exploring what are the values that can build vibrant communities and how can they become protagonists for social development.
Thank you very much.
Mediation Center networks. For me, I think there are two important key issues here. One, the issue of education. Second, the issue of youth in particular. And I would love to, in our own case, what we did specifically, we move into schools. First, we promote to the Ministry of Education in our country the need for peace education as an integral part of educational curriculum in our schools. But after a lot of argument, they insisted that they can't have peace education in terms of this process XYZ. Then we say integrating the culture of peace within our educational curriculum. And that also goes a long way. We continue arguing the ministry were not opening up to most of this, but they allow us to do the next alternative is what? Is establishing peace clubs in our schools. And this will go into different categories. Peace clubs in our school, yes, we can have peace clubs in schools. We can go to the primary school, secondary school, and then universities. But what we did focus on the primary school level, where we have what we call peer mediators, young children as mediators. We badge them with honor for being proper, good guidance, obedient, being non-violent, and we divide them when they do the culture of violence. So that process of encouraging the children to know the values of peace and the dignity it brought along with them has helped us a lot in two states, especially the conflict-prone states like Kaduna, Plateau, Kano, and some areas which are conflict-prone that we are working on. So I feel the need for peace education back into school curriculum, it will be a very important thing that goes along with it. The second one, which is also very important, was the issue of youth response to violence or to early warning indicators of violence. We set up early warning, early response system and community peace response, CPUs, community peace observers. We make many youth into community peace observers. When they see early warning indicators, they make a response. I think if across the continent, we can have youth on the aspect of early warning in our civic engagement, early response will go a long way. And finally, I would like to advise that we need to have a mantra, a national mantra, an intercontinental, international, a continental mantra of peace. And that mantra of peace, we have seen the model in Indonesia how successfully they go with Pancasila. And we have models in other parts of the world. But specifically for Africa, we have a gift, because it's a religious continent. Can we use the golden rule as a mantra for peace across our youth and insert it in all our curriculum, in all our developmental programs? So if you do that,
thank you very much, Jake.
Finally, sir. And as we do the mantra for peace with the golden rule, there's a need for us to have what we call a revival of moral currency. the moral currency across the continent. How do we revive it? And what doing something about that also go along with. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you. So now we come to the one that the name begins with M, eh? So at least I got the first letter of the name. Yes.
Thank you so much. Thank you, the presenters. It has been a wonderful presentation today. My name is Ejeh. You got the first letter, and I am from the Ethiopian Baha'i community. And I would like to highlight especially some of the points that were raised about the golden rule, the moral and spiritual empowerment of generations, because the World Baha'i community are also working on this kind of educational process where individuals completely need to be empowered, both intellectually and spiritually, because once we advance in our material education, if we don't have the right perspective or the right framework, that knowledge and skill that we gain from the material education can also be used for the destruction of humanity. But the right spiritual and moral empowerment would put the knowledge and the skills that we gain from the education and put it out there for the betterment of the world. And that is the kind of educational process that the worldwide Baha'i community is learning at the grassroots level. Both for, starting from children, age 4, and up to adulthood, children, junior youth, and youth, including adults, where they can all participate in a learning process, that they walk the path together, learning from each other, where youth are active agents of this educational process. And what makes this educational process is very empowering and unique is that it's interface-based. It can also be applied at local levels, neighborhood levels. It can be as after-school programs, in homes, under trees in the village, anywhere it can be applied. In Addis Ababa alone, there are more than 25 these kinds of educational processes at the grassroots level and throughout the whole country. But this is what I really want to highlight today, the overall empowerment of individuals and communities so that education can be used for the betterment of the world. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yes, so let's take just 2 more inputs, and we will give the panel 30 seconds to just give some concluding statement. And if there is anyone from the audience who can make the contribution as to, in this education and the education curriculum, is it okay that we develop it and deliver it to the children and the students, or do we need their input at any point? Please, let's hear your input. And
okay, Justice, mine is short. First of all, I want to say thank you a lot for your presentation. It is really full things which we learn from it. I came from Ethiopian Evangelical Church Mechanisms, Women Leadership Capacity Building Office. Mechanisms is the motto is holistic ministry. Then in this holistic ministry, she's heard both spiritual and physical. From this, for example, we are working on women, especially that the women will be participating in leadership and also in development work and everything. Then, really, when we see in our work, there are many women who are capacitating themselves through education, and also in their country they are doing many things. Then in their religion, participating, promoting them leadership is most of her work is good if she participates as a woman and also if she encourages the education of women. Then my question is, what is religious in today's in the churches and also in other different religion organizations? What is their contribution, especially for women and also for children and youth ministry? Because really this contribution is most of it is for the community, not only in the church and also the Islamic religions, but preparing them. The children, youth, and women are, this contribution is not only for the religion, also for the country, for the society, then what is our today's religion promoting women and also the children. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
European Islamic Affairs Supreme Councils. And as my personal beliefs, every religion taught their religious beliefs and religious dogmas. But I have a question to the presenters, how to we have to, there is external influences that challenge the religious and moral and ethical education. So, from your previous exposures, how to overcome the influences of digital media, globalization, and other issues to support our children to internalize the moral and religious and ethical education, what they learn from schools and from religious education. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Country has their own different way of doing things. But to be pragmatic, at Arigatou International, we have developed a manual that is called Learning to Live Together. And it gives teachers and educators practical tools to help children and the youth. And its whole purpose is just to show children and youth how they can live peacefully with people from different backgrounds, from different races, from different religions. So that's the whole purpose, because you have the purpose of ethics. So that's the whole purpose of the Learning to Live Together. And what he has done, it's child-centered and interactive approach that brings about the big participation and inclusivity of all children. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for your feedback, and also we are very happy to give you a full answer. But I think all the questions they were coming from you, and they were saying about the education and education. But as we know, all there's some challenges everywhere about education. So in ours, we are just cooperating as we already, and also we are inshallah making improvement for the sector. And this is the second time, inshallah.
Thank you very much.
Okay, so I will respond to our colleague brother from the United States. I was still in the United States when I was a high school teacher, and I learned a lot. I attended courses about ethics, and they call it character education. Another title. When I went into analysis, I found, the same ethics, but within different titles. And the students are given some sort of prospects, and they, for example, helpful. And they go for a week, and they bring a report to say how they are helpful in their neighborhood, in their family, in their society, and even helpful to their neighbors who are from different religions. So it is treated religion and interfaith, but with different strategy. That time I came to Morocco. Really, I want to mention my experience, and then I did it in Marrakesh. You know that the majority of Moroccans are Muslims and so on. So in Marrakesh, there are tourists from other religions, from other faiths. So, and then I created this course, I didn't call it interfaith, but intercultural communication. And then we sent students to hotels to learn tourism, one thing, and then to be to have competence, intercultural competence, and to talk to tourists, to engage in discussion, and to have reports from these Hindu, other people, and it brought it's a result. Now, Morocco, of course, is developing. Now there are masters with the title Interfaith Dialogue. You see, there is something else. There are other things. So people, students, and I teach them English, they compare between religions, and especially Judaism, Christianity. And we bring scholars from European countries to talk about Christianity and have students ask questions. So you see, so also in Morocco there is change. That's why we have this, because students don't know about other countries, and especially African, what is happening in our continent, And this is the last idea. I'll tell you about this. That's Morocco. It is officially agreed upon that we should look now in partnership with African countries. There is a bank that is now called Bank of Africa. Royal Maroc. There is a logo. It is called Dream Africa. Last week, the Ministry of Education, Higher Education, they said your partnership with African universities is still at its minimum. And that's why I am here. Thank you.
Thank you very much, but not to be answered, because a lot of people, I mean, the answer is among us. But because a lot of imams, a lot of knowledgeable people, professors, brothers and sisters. But I will just drop what I know from my side. So we didn't, as an African, we are not, touch our indigenous knowledge. So when we come to solve the problem of peace, we go just mediation and everything stuff. So since our ancestors in Ethiopia, there is a tree, so the hard one and the white, when they have a problem, nobody can be, there is not any interface. So they will tell some of the people who are elders, they can come and they solve. So there might be a problem that's big, but they can solve a problem that is not as modern. So I'm not saying let us use, I'm not saying we don't use to the rest of the world, which is a globally used, but we have a lot. So the more we educate, the more we think ourselves as educated, we lose our indigenous knowledge. I think Indians, in this case, they have, South Koreans, Indians, they still they were colonized, but they are still their own indigenous knowledge. So in all circumstances, we have untouched potential to use our indigenous knowledge. To conclude, I just want to say, people say every time, people say that children today use tomorrow. So so use up for tomorrow's. So to say it like use tomorrow, it doesn't work. So use us still today's and tomorrow, and then after tomorrow, and for them. So let's use our indigenous knowledge as well as the untapped knowledge that we have, and also use our own African Agenda 2063 inputs in our all circumstances, education, in all the things. So the more we do, I think the more we impact and develop our African. So thank you.
Thank you very much. Yes, please. Go ahead.
Yes, I think the question which was asked has been already answered by many friends already. But to conclude, I would say that since I'm a member of URI, and the purpose of URI is to eradicate religiously motivated violence and create cultures of peace. And how can we create cultures of peace? That is to give ethical education and morality. This is only for peaceful cohesion. If we have ethics,
we can have peaceful cohabitation. And as you know, there is so much war going around in the world. It wouldn't be there if we had some morality, how to live with other human beings. It may be in other countries there are different rules, that's fine, but I think everybody needs peace and tranquility to live for progress and development in all countries. I think I'll stop here because this can go on and on. And thank you so much for your concern and for your raising these questions. Thank you very much.
So a big thank you to the panelists for all the input you've shared, and thank you very much for your patience, for taking time out from your lunchtime to be part of this conversation.
Yeah, we take it.
We'll have a group photo? Yes. Okay, thank you. And sorry, brother, that we could not take your question, but please let's continue the conversation. Okay? Remember, the best place to grow flowers is where? In the kindergarten. Okay? So let's begin with the children and grow the flowers in there. Thank you very much.
And then we move to recommendations. So at the end, someone from this group will report to the general body. So it's going to be an open conversation where we look at some of the issues we think should have been discussed. We look at some experiences that should be part of this whole conversation, and then where do we go from here? My name is Kenis Shinyaka Inyaka. I've been asked to not moderate, just to lead this conversation. So thank you once again for being part of this. I will ask anybody in the room to please raise your hand if you want to make a contribution. Generally, from the development point of view, peace building is defined by scholars as a very comprehensive concept that encompasses, and this is very important, the processes, the approaches that transform conflict and also build structures that can help in dealing with the occurrence of conflicts. What it means is that most of the things we do in our various communities is part of peace building, because it's a whole array of processes and approaches: education, advocacy, name it. These things are all encapsulated in the whole idea of peace and peace building. So from that prism, what are the issues that should have been discussed? We had only a day and a half. And then there are some experiences that can help as we advance these whole processes and help these systems to put things together that will help advance peace in Africa. And then what recommendations are we giving to this body at the end? Please take the microphone from me. Thank you, Father. And I'm sorry, Father. Our sisters, Sister Hedwig Mose and our sister Martha Njiri are the recorders. They're going to put together all our conversation this afternoon. Thank you very much for accepting to do this. Father, sorry about that.
I am very happy to be here. I thought I should pick the microphone immediately because eventually I would like also to go and listen a bit on the sustainability platform. Peace. We used to have a slogan: if you want peace, work for justice. There is a very thin line between peace and justice. Therefore, I have these few things to propose. AU has this year dedicated the year for addressing historical injustices and seeking reasonable, responsible, and respectful reparation measures. Historical injustices are part of what is causing conflicts in Africa. They come in form of neocolonialism. They come in form of boundaries that were arbitrarily drawn. You will find tribes on both sides of the same country, and it is causing conflicts. We have certain tribes or certain political parties that have been enshrined in the constitution that it is their birthright, it is their God-given privilege to be the only leaders in that country. So that year in, year out, every election, whether they win it democratically or they steal it or by military force, they must always be there in the lead. So let us put in the forefront addressing historical injustices as one of the causes of conflict in Africa. Number two is scramble for African resources and let them fight and we exploit the resources. You will find where the hotspots of violence in Africa, you will find also very rich natural resources there. Who is this person who is keeping the fight going on so that they can have a chance to exploit? Because we are busy fighting, we have no clear minds to discuss our own issues, to negotiate the better prices of our resources. We are fighting, and one war after the other. So the natural resources is part of the conflict in Africa. The third thing I would like also to say here is to do, what was it I was going to say? It is historical injustices, it is natural resources, it is the arms trade. Arms trade, 1 year here at the AU we had silencing the guns as the theme of the year. The year went, but the guns have not been silenced. There is a very big market for arms here in Africa, and we are the ones who are buying these arms. We buy them with our natural resources. We buy them and put a lot of debts on ourselves. It is paradoxical that we are loading ourselves with debts in order to kill ourselves with arms. It is part of the deal to try and stop the arms deal in Africa. Let us stop the flow of arms in Africa and we will have peace. Let us have these three issues as part of the debate in this forum.
Thank you very much, Father Kelo. Very important issues. Number one, the AU should focus on addressing historical injustices. Number two, African resources, who are taking our, somebody wrote a book called A Continent for the Taking. A Continent for the Taking. That Africa is a continent for the taking. So who takes the natural resources and why and how? And then the third issue is arms deal. I don't know any country in Africa that produces guns and things like that. But if you move around the continent, you see that they produce the guns they give us. So can we have peace without addressing these issues? Thank you very much. Father, as I said, we are looking at this from three perspectives. Number one, what are the issues we thought should have been discussed this period? Number two, what are experiences that can help us as we advance the process? Number three, what are the recommendations we want to give? And you can approach this, it's not chronological. You can touch any of these issues. Our sisters are able to organize them. Please just give us your name and then make your contribution. Thank you. our sister.
Thank you, the moderator. I want to talk about governance in Africa as one of the key issues why we are having what we are having today. When it comes to governance, the issues in Africa is something that is a kind of disheartening. It is in Africa that we have leaders who want to remain in power until they die, who don't want to give out powers to those who duly merited it. It is in Africa that elections are rigged in broad daylight and nothing happens. And the person is still in power and will continue and finish his or her term and nothing happens. It is in Africa that the legislative system is bought and is bought over by the executive. It is only in Africa that the executive control the legislators and the judiciary. It is in Africa that the executive buys over the judiciary. You go to court 100 times, you don't get anything out of it. So I look at the whole issue, not disconnecting it from the point that the earlier speaker father mentioned, but I see it from the point of view that if we begin to have the kind of responsible government, things will get a little bit better. Yes, things might not get completely, because even in Europe and the so-called world powers, things are still not very okay there. But at least, to an extent, things will get a little bit better in Africa than what we are seeing today, than what we are experiencing today. The kind of leadership we have over here is nothing to write home about. The kind of leadership we have in Africa is what perpetuates corruption, is what perpetuates injustice, is what perpetuates Africa in the situation in which we find ourselves. So, I think now that AU is part and parcel of the G20, we have already had MOU with them. I think the AU have more responsibility this time around to see how to get to this down to the African leaders. That leadership, governance is part of the greatest problem we have. When we talk about corruption, they are there. You talk about everything that is not going on well, governance is there. So, how will AU help us to address this? How will AU help African elections to count, vote to count? How will AU help us to do that? How will AU help us to minimize corruption, endemic corruption that has eaten up Africa? How do I address all this? And as we already know, you can't eat your cake and ice it. You can't eat it and have it back. So, we have already prepared a very beautiful background for conflict, for violence. And then we are here talking about peace, peace, peace. Peace on what? Peace on what? When the poor guy who struggled to pay the school fees finishes the study, there is no job. And there is no conducive environment for him or her to thrive, to even go into entrepreneurship. Nothing to support. So how do you expect peace to happen? When elections are rigged, how do we expect peace? So that is why we talk about justice. It has to come if we really want true peace, honest peace. And when we know the right thing, when our leaders know their responsibility and live up to that, even the new colonialism will begin to diminish a little bit. Because I believe we are not morons that Europeans and America will manipulate forever. We have brains too, for goodness sake. Whatever power they think they hold, they have. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Sister talked about good governance grounded around credible election and the ability of individuals to recognize, as Shakespeare said, the world is a stage. You have your time to enter and the time to exit. That African leaders must know the time to exit a stage. Thank you very much, Sister. Let's go to Father.
Frederick. So sorry, instead of backing you, I would like to, it's not that I'm replacing Father Candice. These are the points I would like to share. The first one, it has to do with methodology. You know, when we come for these events, we have the chairperson of the AU Commission addressing us, and then the president of Ethiopia addressing us. After they have finished speaking, group pictures, and then they go. So they don't even know what we are discussing, who we are, what we are bringing. They will be expecting maybe some written reports. But can't you imagine an interactive session with somebody like His Excellency, the chairperson of the African Union Commission, who knows the African Union very well, having been Ministers of Foreign Affairs of Djibouti for 20 years. So a member of the Executive Council of the AU. Imagine if he was given 1 hour, he delivers his opening remarks, 5 minutes, and then he hears from us. And then it's also good for us to know the type of people who are in charge of us, of our institutions. What is their vision? This interactivity, that yes, you are in charge, but we have some things to tell you. They may not always transpire to the reports we are giving, and we want to see how you react. If you are open-minded, or if you already say, no, this one will go. For me, next time, if we're having these VVIPs, it will be good for us to also have an interactive session with them, with all humility, all respect, having them to listen to us and respond to our questions. That's the first point, about methodology. The second point is about faith-based diplomacy. We have to promote faith-based diplomacy. There was a time I happened to be with some bishops and in the office of the former chairperson of the commission, Mustafa Ki. So he was telling us, we the politicians, we have failed. So we are counting on you, the ethical voices. You are the people who can help us. Now, the religions in Africa, they tend to reduce us to people who are going to offer prayers and meditations. They create problems and then they want us to go and solve them by offering prayers and meditations. But there is also this concept of faith-based diplomacy whereby we go and meet the policymakers. In DR Congo, they have done it so well during this ongoing conflict with Rwanda. But we need to amplify the voices of those people. And the concrete proposal is that we have a Pan-African University. So what prevents the AU within the structure of the Pan-African University to have one university or one program dedicated to faith-based diplomacy, whereby they are empowering the religious leaders with the notions of diplomacy, but also they teach people what it's all about, because it's going to do a lot of good things. One last thing is about money. You know, if we Africans, we don't have money to finance peace initiatives, and then we count on others outside, then we are going to die. We are going to be finished. Because there are some countries, they are ready to send soldiers to go and secure a particular country. But if the European Union or America and others, they say we are not financing it, it's finished. That's what they were saying about Somalia. But let me take a simple example. How many people are there in Africa? 1.4 billion inhabitants. Imagine that each African were to give $1. We are going to have, for each of the Africans, $1.4 billion to finance peace. Can you imagine 1.4 billion to finance peace. And if there is a clear mechanism, there is a lot of things you can do. And this you can put it for every air ticket someone buys. They put maybe $1, $1, $1, $1, or every other services. I'm telling you, there are a lot of things we can do by ourselves. But unfortunately, we have become so lazy because of aid. We are crying that Trump is against us, but this is money. So why should you force me to give my money? You can get your own money. So that is also something about financing peace efforts. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Father. To my brother there. Yeah. And so, Father mentioned two important things here. Number one, that the policy drivers, institutional policy drivers, must be in the room. They don't have to talk to us and go home. Number two, what we call soft diplomacy. Soft diplomacy. And soft diplomacy is located within the premises of religious traditions. As Merlin Albright, the former U.S. Secretary of State, said that faith-based organizations have all the tools to work on peace and reconciliation. Soft diplomacy, and the final point is organic resources. That we should be able to raise the resources that should be used to advance peace in Africa, and not to wait for somebody to help us. You know, in my culture it is said, who pays the piper determines the tone of the music, whether you like it or not. So if they give you money, they'll tell you what to do. Thank you very much, Father.
Thank you very much. Greeting to all. From yesterday, I was listening all the problems. What can we do? Like women empowerment, corruption, human trafficking, and all mostly happen here in Africa. So what African Union can do, or what can we do, or religious leaders, what can we do? I think so. In my opinion, the only thing we can do, we have to get like more members of every religion. In every religion, whatever we believe, there is no corruption, there is no human trafficking, there is no understanding women, all that kind of stuff. The only thing we can do, we're not policymakers. Who is the policymakers? The politicians. The politicians are the ones that make rule and regulation. So how do we create influence? By getting more members, and then if there is a democrat country, of course we can make a difference. Like for example, America is a very democratic country. Father, way better than me. If they try to undermine whatever we say, you know what they're gonna get the next election. But Africa, is there a real democracy? If there is a real democracy, then we can create influence. The other thing, like, we all know the solution about this mess. The only thing that scares me, the other scares me, like when we go to, when we talk about food. I'm sure all of you know about Monsanto. You can Google it, Monsanto, M-O-N-A-S-T-O, Monsanto. S-A-N-T-O, Monsanto. The truth about Monsanto, they have a rule and regulation. What's the rule and regulation? If you control our natural resource or the oil, you can control the nation. If you control the food, you can control the human being. So they are controlling the seed. Our farmers, they're not even using their own seed. In the next 10, 15 years, it's kind of scary. So I highly recommend all religious leaders to teach for farmers to grow your own, to produce your own, not to use too many fertilizers. That's the only thing we can say. I can say, again, please, let's get more members in every religion. When we have more members, then we'll have more power. Because there is no religion doing corruption, undermining women, all that kind of stuff. So then we can be influential. That's the only thing we can do. Let's try to be influential. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you, my dear brother. You talked about collective engagement, collaborative efforts. You know, this is about people power. That the religious traditions across the continent should engage in people power by coming together and agro peace. You know, the power of the stomach. Because when you're hungry, it is very easy to be manipulated. So when we engage, and again, all our religious traditions are located in their various communities. So this is part of education and engaging our local farmers. Thank you, my dear brother. Okay. Please give us your name to help us.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Salika Das. I'm a global president of the Nigerian Religious Initiative and representative of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness Movement. First thing is that I appreciate that at the end of this global gathering, because it's a global gathering from different parts of the world to this gathering, that at the end of every year we come out with a communique. But what baffles me is that what do we do as we're writing other communique today? What do we do with them between now and next year? Because it is said that coming together is the beginning of a process. When we stay together, is the continuity of the process. But actually working together is the success in coming together to achieve something. So when we draw this communique, what engagement do we have in between the years? I would like G20 organizers to think about this. If we bring 200, 150 participants together every year, and within the scope of the year, there is no any engagement, the world is a global space that we can engage to deepen the reflections that we have here every year. So I would like to suggest here that we should not always communicate that will bring us back next year without an in-between engagement that will help to take down to the local communities the importance and the impact of what we do here. That is number one contribution I want to give. Second thing is that there's been a lot of talk about arms dealings in Africa. In Africa alone, it is said that over 18 billion is spent on effects of arms dealings. And when you look at these issues and how it affects every other thing that we discuss on women, youth, education, religion, and all of that, my second submission here is that how do religious leaders in our individual traditions or community allows what we come here to present to penetrate into our countries, because these situations that we are talking about are not happening outside of our communities. Whatever we're discussing about is something that is happening in our communities. So therefore, if we come here and project all of this situation, what are the things that we do when we live here in our community that helps you? Because when we look at the crisis at every place, in my place, for example, in the last 2 months, there has been over 2,000 killings of human beings, not animals, on the basis of other farmer, religious difference and whatever. But then, what role can we play? What support do we need to make sure that all these beautiful suggestions that we have here goes down to an impact on our community peace development? And finally, I also want to say that as we live here today, after all of these beautiful suggestions, Peace is not something that we can just talk about. It depends on how the religious leaders, the most powerful force in existence is God. And next to that force is the religious leaders. So let us use that force effectively to influence our community.
Thank you very much. Good contributions. You saw somebody came and whispered something to me. We have 5 minutes. Let me go to this young lady. We need to hear the voice of the young lady, please. And please be brief. Let's see what we can do in 5 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I'm going to be very brief. I'm Arigatou from the Baha'i community of Ethiopia. And I would like to share just the basic guiding principles surrounding peace. For us to bring a global lasting peace, it needs to be based on the unity of mankind and the oneness of humanity. And I'm really wondering, even if the next G20 summit in South Africa or overall, how that can be unfolded in terms of strategies or policies, founding peace in the unity of humanity. And it says the well-being of mankind and its peace and security are unattainable unless and until its unity is firmly established. So we need to find a way that we need to find our common ground for our unity to be established firmly so that we can get lasting peace.
Thank you. Sister at the back, please. Come in. Sister at the back. Please make it brief. We have just 5 minutes, please.
Thank you. My name is Sister Ngozi Uti. Mine is just a suggestion that the AU, if we have come, as a continent, we also need to support each other. And I give you the example of what is happening to the Sahel nations, Burkina Faso, Ejeh. You know, when they decided that they were going to move forward, that the time has come, and after the coup, and they moved on. The ECOWAS kind of sanctioned them. They were given an ultimatum. Because we are still very, very dependent on the West. And these countries decided that they are going to be on their own. I know the social media can amplify issues, but I think that that young man is doing a lot, and that we should be able to support them and give them all the enablement that they need. And that is the kind of support we also need, because if our other African nations that are at war and having challenges, the young man there talked about food, which is a very serious thing. The organic products that they are giving to our farmers, in another 5-10 years, we cannot, because you cannot plant them again. Before, during planting season, what you sowed last year, you keep some and you plant that again. But that is no longer the case. So we need to support each other and see what we can do to help ourselves. If we start little gradually, we will get there someday.
All right, thank you, sister. To my brother here. Please make it brief. 1 minute. Yeah, 1 minute. We're going, please.
Thank you very much for the opportunity. Let me just say maybe one of the things that I find challenging as it relates to peace is this whole issue around sovereignty. I think we have it that each member state in the African Union is a member state, and it has its purely 100% sovereign rights. So how then do we then begin to have member states kind of like share some of their responsibility for the common good? They come together because they want to achieve something common, right? But then when it comes to implementation, the whole issue around sovereignty comes in. This is where issues where we actually have these protocols and charters and whatever, we all come sign. And then I go home, I say I am who I am, I'm not what I signed to. So I think the question of sovereignty is important. The other thing that I want to mention is the whole issue for peace. If we look at the African Union Peace and Security Architecture, we don't have anything that actually looks like issues to do with non-violent approaches to peace. So we have things to do with this Peace and Security Council, panel of the wise, and all African standby force and things like that. But I think it's also very important for the Peace and Security Architecture to begin to realize that our starting point is that we should not fight, and we don't want to fight. And so I think for us as faith-based organizations, then to begin then to say, can we have something to do with non-violence as one of the pillars? It might be a soft pillar or whatever, because the pillar's basis is that there will be war. So I think we need to paint the pyramid and say we are peaceful Africa. So, okay,
Thank you so much. My dear brothers and sisters, we will wrap it up here. We were given 5 minutes, and I think it's very important to respect time. And thank you very much for this active participation. I think this is a very important aspect of this conference. Not every one of us had the opportunity to be on the panel, but we had the opportunity to share. Thank you very much. Let's move to the main hall to continue the conversation. Thank you very much.
Thank you.